So, hi everyone, and welcome to November's Idea Challenge. The Co-working Idea Project is an international group of organizers and co-working operators and alliances and value-aligned individuals around the world who are committed to making the co-working movement more inclusive, diverse, equitable, and accessible. And each month we issue a challenge so that you can participate. This month, we wanted to do something a little bit different and make sure that you were caring for yourselves as well, because we are asking a lot of you, and so is the world. So, this month, we're going to welcome Laura, who's going to talk to us a little bit about November and self care. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you, Ashley. Yes, it's one of my favorite topics to talk about rest, about saying no. I think that's what we're going to explore this month, right before in the United States, it's our big holiday season with Thanksgiving and Christmas following up. So there's just a lot of time off that's coming up. So, yes, it's a good time to talk about it.
Yeah, maybe we could just start with that, talking about setting boundaries and the gentle art of saying no for a less stressful life.
The gentle art of saying no. I love that. And what's really interesting, one of the best ways that I heard boundaries, the importance of boundaries described is that every time you say yes to someone or something, just keep in mind that you're saying no to yourself. If you flip it over in that way, you realize that as I say, yes, I'll do that meeting. Yes, I'll take up the parent school, the parent committee at school. Yes, I'll do that other thing that's probably volunteer. Yes, I'll bring the food to the family potluck. Like those are all things that you might want to do, but it can be really helpful to think about if I'm saying yes to all these things, where am I saying no to sleep, no to rest, no to downtime? So I think that's something to really think about when we talk about the importance of setting boundaries.
Yeah, I think as leaders too in this industry, we forget that a lot of folks, including our staff and our children, they're modeling us, and we can model behavior of setting boundaries in a healthy way by not apologizing for saying no, and using it as a practice for self care, but also showing your staff that it's okay to prioritize family or to prioritize taking a mental health day, for example. Like our
Yeah.
leadership's really important in that way.
Yes, yes. And, whatever we prioritize means that we're deprioritizing other things. So sometimes when we're prioritizing our business all year long, that means that we're deprioritizing certain parts of quality time with family or time with ourselves. So I found that around like holiday times was a really great time to have this conversation with my team in co-working and to be able to say, how do we show an example? How do we role model for our members that it's okay to prioritize rest? It's okay to prioritize themselves. And so we would do that by just, saying, oh, it's okay for us to shut our doors. You might still have access to this co working space, but my team is taking, they're all off, or you have less amenities or services that we would normally offer. I think that's a scary thing in customer service and hospitality. It's for people to actually just limit the amount of things that they're offering. But I think that it's actually important to think about cyclical times in your business and when can you model, hey, it's a lull, it's a downtime, and we should all be resting. And so you're kind of, setting that example. And I found that it was inspiring to my team members that were running their own business because I had, in co-working, you've got like my community manager was launching her business and running a co-working space and doing all the things. So we had this conversation a lot of like, oh, I can do this here. That means I can do it in other spaces in my life and other roles that I hold.
Yeah, I've actually learned a lot from you in terms of your work with entrepreneurs and approaching things from a co-working perspective. I think a lot of us are of the mindset of communal care or community care, and actually even prioritizing that over self-care, in the sense that we're also we're also in need of care from our community or communities of care for ourselves as entrepreneurs and as operators and as human beings with needs like everyone else, when it's typically our role to be in that caring mode. So Maybe you could speak a bit to that, finding that balance as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think as community builders and caretakers, there's a lot of emotional labor involved in that communal care. I love to think about co-working as basically a community of care. It just needs to include everyone, not just the members of the co-working space. It needs to include the leadership team, the operators, the managers, and that can somehow feel a little tricky with hospitality because we sort of have here in the U.S. There's this 24/7 mentality, kind of having to be on all the time. But I found it really inspiring when you made it a part of the culture and you just really communicated to everyone like we're intentional about saying no or shifting down, or this is a month that, like, if you can take the theme of November, which some people have become familiar with, that there's this focus on saying no and slowing down, and you bring that into the whole business. And that's what I teach my entrepreneurs even outside of co-working, is the value of their leadership. They model this, and I say to them all the time, your team will do what you do, not what you say. And so I encourage them, like, take time off, turn off, do no meetings on a certain day, or turn off, email, and give them the permission to be off email or off, that 24/7 kind of plugged in all the time. And the more that you do that, I don't think it's bad for business. I think it's actually really good for business, and more so than ever since COVID, because more people are leaving jobs, experiencing burnout, struggling with mental health. And if you can show as a community or a leader that that's a priority of yours, I think then more people are really excited about that and they want to learn more about your community or about working with you.
Yeah, I think we're touching on some interesting topics here, and I know we've addressed them a bit in other challenges, and we'll continue to do so. But I'd like to sort of follow along the themes of a group called the NAP Ministry. I know you're familiar with and a fan of, as am I. Many folks in social justice work or in activist work, and even in inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility work, are facing, this extreme emotional labor. There's a lot of trauma and effort and extra energy that's required to do this work. And as someone who is facing these forms of discrimination or harassment or exclusion, it would be even harder to engage in the same ways. So much more emotional load and labor, and for some people, it's also not possible to rest or take time off. So, one of the themes that I really like that it follows through the NAP ministry work is rest as resistance, or rest as a radical tool for community healing. Because sleep deprivation is a racial and a social justice issue as well. Folks are working so hard because of poverty, because of discrimination, because of exclusion, and all the systemic issues, including another layer of caregiving that some of us are doing as well. So I guess I want to touch on that and the accessibility piece, and what we might be able to do that's accessible to everyone, even just to reset for a moment, or what you might suggest there.
Yes. And I'm a big fan of the NAP ministry because of what you just said. They're really naming rest as a form of resistance. And the reason why it's so important is that it is a form of resistance because we live in a culture that wants to sort of treat a lot of its citizens as robotic. There's even this tendency to kind of think of ourselves as like being able to move at the speed of machines, because we're on machines all the time. We're on our phones, we're on our computers, and so we forget we're human beings. We're not human doers. We're human beings, and we have to really slow down and be. And for people who've experienced, they are experiencing multiple layers of, systemic or familial violence, or, just years and years of constantly going against the grain or being seen as someone who doesn't belong, in this emotional labor of fitting in and trying to fight all of the different types of discrimination. And then ancestral, we know that there's actually research showing that many minority groups actually carry trauma from previous generations. So there's just so much exhaustion already in the body. And so it's a form of activism to actually just say, I'm able to rest. I deserve rest. I'm worthy of rest. And to be able to put that out there, I think is extremely important as a business owner. So, or as like a community builder. Again, I keep talking about like, how do you weave these values into your culture so that it doesn't just become things that you do once a year, but it's this whole thread, these threads that go through the culture of your community. And that's what I love about this project is that we're talking about inclusivity of rest, inclusivity for mental health, inclusivity for an accessibility to rest, and what does that look like, not only for the other people around you, but first and foremost, you got to think of like, how does this look like for me so that I do embody it and I do know how to then model it and teach it. Because I think many of our listeners, right, that are listening to this challenge, they're leaders. They're building community. And so they might be thinking, oh, let me see how I'm supposed to do this for all my members. But my big underlying circle highlight point here is that it starts with you. It's really, really important that you do this type of self care practice, that you rest, that you set boundaries, that you take downtime, because it is a form of resistance and it's going to help you be able to advocate and be more inclusive in the way that you're building your communities.
Yeah, I guess we'll wrap this conversation on that note too. And having experienced a couple of intense burnouts, it's really related to the amount of passion that we carry and the importance of the work that we're doing, the urgency which we might feel of the opportunities that this pandemic creates or allows for change. Um, but having experienced this burnout, I know that when you're not operating at your best or when you're not able to operate at all of your projects suffer. And so therefore, taking care of yourself is taking care of your business. Taking care of yourself is taking care of your members. Taking care of yourself is taking care of your family. It's that whole oxygen mask
Yes.
theory. And so I really, really want to make sure we're focusing on that now and giving everyone who's participating, even if they only have 5 minutes to engage today, the opportunity to feel what a little bit of rest and a little bit of peace and a little bit of perspective might be. So I know you do an incredible job with guided meditations through your work with Women Who Co-work and also your own independent practice and working with entrepreneurs and leaders in co-working and otherwise.
Mhm.
So maybe you could lead us through a short meditation and allow everyone to experience that at least for a bit. And then we can include some other simple but maybe quite challenging tasks for leaders to do to be able to step back a bit and to challenge themselves to say no this November.
Absolutely. Yes. I love to remind everyone that it only takes 5 minutes. And if you just spend 5 minutes 5 times a day, you can do 25 minutes of mindfulness. But we'll just start with like 5 minutes of a meditation that can help people center and ground and be able to do the things that they need to do to calm down. So we'll take a minute to pause and just let everyone find their way into a space where they can get comfortable. So just remember, spending 5 minutes with ourselves, just tuning in, slowing down, being still, it can only take a minute, but it gives you back so much energy. So I just like to remind everyone this is a way of reclaiming your energy, pulling it back. And anytime you start to get really overwhelmed, when you feel like that burnout that Ashley spoke about, that's often a sign that we actually have two, um, what's the word I'm looking for? It's diffuse boundaries. Like our boundaries are not strong enough. So if we feel overwhelmed, the boundaries are too loose. Boundaries are too loose. If you feel really disconnected, your boundaries might be too rigid. And the only way that we can find a balance with our energy, knowing where that feels good, is to be able to actually slow down and tune in. Okay, so let's begin the meditation. We're going to begin by finding a comfortable position where you can hopefully have kind of a straight, supported spine, feet on the floor, or at least maybe your sits bones nice and grounded on the floor or in a chair. You can leave your eyes open with a soft gaze, or you can close them. It's whatever feels most comfortable to you. And we're just going to come into this moment to the degree that we are able. There's no right or wrong. We just start to settle in and notice the breath. And as we start to find ourselves in this moment, just notice the edges. We're going to ground into our body by just noticing the edges. The edges of the body are where our feet are coming in contact with the floor, where you feel your skin resting on your skin. It's where your body meets the world, space around the body. And we're coming into awareness of our here and now. There's nowhere else to be except right now in this present moment. And so just bringing awareness into these edges that you're noticing in the body. And then begin to notice your breath. Just observe with curiosity your body breathing. There's no right or wrong way to breathe. Your body is breathing exactly as it needs to breathe in this moment. And so just bring awareness. You might begin to feel the rise and the fall of your chest or belly, or your side body as you notice the body inhale, the breath moving in, and the breath moving out. And here we are in this present moment, coming into the body and into the breath to the degree that you are able. You don't have to come in any deeper than just this, noticing yourself, noticing your body breathing. And then for those that are feeling a little bit curious, you can start to bring awareness inside into the sensations of the body. This is a part of the meditation in which we begin to notice the body, bringing it into our awareness. You may notice first a little bit of places of tension or constriction where you're holding. Just bring your awareness there. And with each out breath, just try to bring a little bit more release to the tension. Breathing it out, or breathing out tension, breathing out worry, breathing out stress. And just scanning through the body, we just notice. Noticing the top of the head, the face, into the neck, the throat. Noticing the shoulders and the chest. Allowing your awareness to just gently move down through the arms, down through the torso, into the belly. Noticing the belly, noticing the pelvic bowl, noticing your hips. Keep going into the legs, scanning, moving down, down, down. Your awareness is moving through the body, all the way through the legs, down into the calves, and the ankles, and your feet. And just allow yourself to rest here for just 2 more breaths. And there we are, having this moment with ourselves. In this moment, we arrive. We are fully present with ourselves. Give some gratitude, send some love to yourself and to your body for taking this moment to just unwind, rest, and settle. And this is a place that you can take with you for the rest of the day. Remember the sensations of being with yourself, of slowing down, finding some stillness. You can take this with you into the day, into the next day, and into the next, and come back anytime you need to center, pull your energy back in. Now, just allow your awareness to begin to shift from the most inner point of your awareness. Going to shift back out into the edges of the body, becoming aware of your feet resting, your body sitting, the chair supporting you, or the couch, or the floor. Become aware of your edges, aware of your body. And then, ever so slowly, allowing some small movements, maybe a little bit of movement in the fingers or the toes, or a little bit of movement in the shoulders. Small little spinal twist. Hmm. Letting that exhale out with sound if you need to. And now we prepare our eyes, allowing them to open into soft gaze. And then just allowing your eyes to slowly open. You can take in your surroundings, your back. What are the colors that you see, the shapes? Just take a nice look around and arrive back in your moment, right here, right now, where you are. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Laura. I
Mm.
know for some folks that might be the first time they've ever done this. And so I would offer my own experience that the first few times I did it, I really struggled to quiet my mind, really struggled to be present in my body. But what that showed me was how little I actually was doing that in my day to day. And I also learned that with practice, even after a few days, trying it over and over, it got so much easier and so much more rewarding. And I'm learning skills to be able to go a bit deeper and get a bit stiller and feel a bit more in my body. And it's really given me an incredible perspective. And I know folks on the more scientific side would also offer when you're repeating a practice like this, your brain changes. It actually makes new connections and makes it easier for you to get to this space and this state in the future. So if you're feeling hectic and like you can't slow down to do this, try again tomorrow and try again tomorrow and try again tomorrow.
Thank you, Ashley, for saying those extra pieces of just to help people set the expectation, sharing your own experience, because I find that often people are a little quick to say, oh, I just don't think I can do that, or my body won't slow down. But it does take practice. And I also notice in the meditation, I use a phrase, come into the body to the degree to which you are able. And that's all you got to do. Just start there. And you may just notice like the feet on the floor, maybe that's all you can locate and that's all you can feel for the entire meditation. And that's more than enough because that's allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to be where you are And then over time, it definitely increases your awareness, your ability to sit still, tune in, and hear from your body will increase over time. And it's really valuable. So thank you for the invitation to share that meditation.
Yeah, thank you for doing so. And we're going to link to everything in the challenge as well, but maybe you could let folks know where to find you and your independent practice.
Thank you, Ashley. Yeah, so you can learn all about the work that I do with co working and with entrepreneurs at laurashookguzman.com. And so my name.com, you'll include it in the notes so they can find it. And just visit me there. I have a page called Tools for Founders. That is a list of resources for entrepreneurs. So there's so many really wonderful books, podcasts, articles, and there's even a blog article there I link to. It's on the Women Who Co-works website, but it's about cultivating, mental health, inclusivity within co-working, which includes taking care of yourself, the topic of today. So I
Thank you
really
so
appreciate
much.
that. Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to our conversation at the end of the month to see how saying no went for everyone and making time for self care this month. So, good luck to everyone in their challenge. And I hope if I reach out with an opportunity, some of you might say no.